Talk about out of this world adventure. What's up, people? Welcome back to Black Geek Cool. I'm your host, Gershon, and today we're talking about Lovecraft Country Episode 7, I Am. Before we dive into that, go ahead and hit that like button if you're watching the video version of this. Or if you're listening to the audio version, go hit 5 stars. Greatly appreciate it. It helps me in the algorithm in both. And it's a great way to show your support for the channel. Also, we're about to spoil this episode, so if you haven't seen it, go watch it and come back and listen. So, let's get into it. First off, Hippolyta figures out the Ori. I'm always pronouncing that wrong. She figures it out how to open it. She gets a key and location, kind of. It's longitude and latitude. I forget what it's called. But yeah, she gets that. And now she is on a mission doing the cold open of the show. You see her going back to... I forgot the place, that mansion they were in the first episode or second episode. And she finds Dee's comic book in the rubble of the house that fell, crumbled. So she's starting to put 2 to 2 together. Figure out the Ori, and now she's on a mission to figure out where this is and what this key goes to and what mystery it unlocks to find out what happened to her husband, George. While she was doing that, Tick and Letty are talking, and they eventually realize they've been having the same dream. A dream when Hannah is running out of the mansion, and the mansion's on fire. But in Letty's dream, she's carrying a book. Tick's dream, she wasn't carrying a book. We also learned that in this moment, she reaches at her stomach, will let you know that, yeah, she's pregnant. But that's kind of why they're trying to say that they're both having the same dream, because now his blood is in her. Even though pregnancy doesn't work that way, we know that. But still, it's a story. Come on, it's got to tell you something to get you in. But yeah, they discuss their dreams, but she doesn't tell him that she's on fire, which is something that's got to come up later on, because he was on fire. So that's got to come up later on in this story, or at least later on in the series. So look out for that. But they realize, oh wait, Tick's mom, our great grandma, has the book. So we have the whole book. Christina's going after pages, but we have the whole book. So now they're trying to figure out more about Tick's mother's side of the family and try to track that book down. Then Ruby learns how the potion works. So Christina, transforms from William to Christina in front of her. She learns that William is Christina. Christina is William. And then she goes down to the basement and finds William's real body down there connected to this tube pumping out his blood. And I forget the lady's name that was in episode 2 with the dogs. Her body's down there as well, have blood pumping. And Christina explains how it works to an extent. And Ruby finds out this and learns this information, as do we learn this information, how this metamorphosis works, and that William is a real person. And that he was, Lancaster did try to kill him. And I still don't know why Lancaster tried to kill him and where William fit in it, but we know more about the potion and how William is in the potion and all that good stuff. It's interesting how Ruby's taking it. Like, Ruby and Christina's relationship is really interesting on so many different levels. It's hopefully they explore it more and we get more details about it. I don't know if Christina's using Ruby, but that's what you should assume. But this show is already giving you a lot of twists and turns, so they could flip that on its head. So you have to be prepared for that. As this is going on, Montrose ends up letting Sam, his lover, stay the night. They're in his apartment. Everything seems to be going well, and then of course Montrose starts to mess it up, complaining about how the grits are runny and the eggs are that he has bacon instead of sausage. And Sam is like, look, every time we get close, you do this. I'm not going to keep letting you hurt me like this, something like that. Montrose is still trying to deal with the fact he's gay. You're gay. I get it. It is a different time period, and you have so much baggage with that. But this man loves you. Let him love you. Honestly, that's where we're at right there. But they end up kind of mending it at that moment and happen to be leaving out when Tick and Letty show up and see them holding hands. And Tick finds out his father is gay. He drops an F-bomb on him, like, you a F. I don't know if he meant to. It's emotionally charged, so he clearly meant to hurt him. And it's still a 60s, so that's like the open term for that, unfortunately. So Montrose tries to save face. He's like, no, he's just here for this. But, like, we know what's going on. So Tick has this moment of emotional breakdown, realizing, like, everything Montrose put him through is because he didn't know who he was or couldn't accept who he was. And he punished me for all that. That is a lot for a person to take in after years of this, after that terrible relationship with that father you have, and then on top of that, learning this whole giant secret. So many things is going through his mind. Also magic. Also dealing with magic. Crazy. It's a really good scene. I forget the actor's name, but he does a really good job showing that just turmoil in his face and his actions at that moment. Very well done. It was a crazy moment. But Letty kind of gets him like, look, I get it, but right now we got to put that on the back burner. We got stuff to figure out, and we got to figure this out now. So Letty's like, come on, we got to go find, I think it's his great auntie in St. Louis, I believe. So before they go, they're like, look, we got to use, Hippolyta's car. Hippolyta herself is already doing something. She's planning to go on a trip. She has Ruby is watching D for her, and she's told everybody she's going on a guide trip. We all know that's not true. She's going to go find out where these directions are taking her, figure out this key, all that. Tick and Letty tried to go use her car. She's like, no, I got to use it. Guide trip. Tick tried to throw some stuff at her. Like, didn't we just put something out? He was like, look, you ain't in charge of this. I'm in charge of this. She threw the hammer down. He was like, all right, my bag. My bag. So Tick ends up going to St. Louis on its own. Letty ends up staying with her sister Ruby because she see they need to talk. And there's a moment they need to talk. They got stuff to talk about. They don't talk about it really. While they're with each other, Ruby's cooking something and Letty tastes it, and you get another clue that she's pregnant, because Ruby says it herself, like, you must be pregnant by Mr. Fix-It if you don't like garlic all of a sudden. So boom, so she's definitely pregnant. She definitely kind of knows it, but she also learns that Hippolyta had the orrery, and she found out. But Tick is off in St. Louis. I think it's his great auntie. He's trying to learn more about his family. He finds out there's a birthmark him and his great grandmother has, or is it his mother? I can't remember. I'm vaguely that. But while he's there, Letty calls him. It's like, hey, Hippolyta knows about, has the orrery, probably knows that we lied about George. Here she goes. Here's where she is. So Hippolyta ends up going to this, I forget what it's called. It is where you use a telescope, a big telescope. It starts with an O. It's on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember it. You guys hit me in the comments or hit me up at BlackieCool on Instagram, Twitter, and let me know you know what it is. I'll probably remember it later. But she goes there, she finds this machine, and she puts her mind to work. Hippolyta is a genius on this show. She's the genius. She's working out equations, trying to figure out this machine. She ends up figuring out, turning it on, but right when she does, some police show up. Men of Lancaster who have been watching this place for him. And she tries to hide. They find her. At that moment, Tick bursts in. and they fight the cops. The machine's on. A portal opens up. Takes down one cop. Hippolyta shoots another cop. And while they're, relaxing from that crazy fight between those two cops, Hippolyta gets sucked into the portal. And then we get on Hippolyta's adventure across space and time. It is crazy. So we learn two things. This is a time machine and a multi-dimension time machine at that. It is amazing. Hippolyta finds herself in this weird spaceship thing with this huge lady with an afro. Super cool. It's very black sci-fi, galaxy space type stuff. And it's amazing. It looks great. But then we also find more intelligence from Hippolyta while she's here. She's doing equations. She figures out something with these metal pieces there and how they float. Figures out how to open the door. And then the being that's there tells her what's her name. And then she says, my name is Hippolyta. And she ends up start teleporting through dimensions. The first place she goes is, it looks like 1950s France. I don't know. Oh, one more thing. When Hippolyta was on her trip going to this place, there was a black female motorcycle rider that passed her. I'm pretty sure, I'm sorry, I don't know history that well. I'm pretty sure she's a big thing in history. I think one of the first black women to ride cross country on a motorcycle in that time. History. HBO is really dropping history. Not just mostly black history, which I appreciate because people act like it's not good to tell us about it. But they've been dropping it from Watchmen to this show. I can't wait till the next show. They drop more history on us. Crazy. But back to Hippolyta in France with the singer, and Hippolyta's kind of, we don't necessarily know how much time she's there, because as you say, this is a time portal, also a multi-dimension portal, so she seems like she's been there for a while. She learns the steps of the dance she was doing, hanging out with people, smoking, drinking, having a ball, doing all kinds of stuff here. And she starts talking to this woman, trying to figure out who she is and what she wants. And then she flashes to another dimension where she's with these black warrior women. I believe one of the first female armies, if I'm not mistaken. She's learning how to fight there. They end up fighting, no better way to say this, white men, colonizers trying to colonize. I think they're in Africa. I'm terrible with history. I probably should have wrote some of this down, did a little deep dive, but you guys know what it is. You can deep dive, let me know. But she learns to fight, and it's amazing. It's just amazing. It's beautiful. There's very little words, but it's a visually impactful episode of amazingness. But that's not where it ends. She ends up coming back to the lady, the space lady. I'm just calling her space lady because I forgot. I don't even really know if she has a name. And Hippolyta has these rectangular things on her wrist, and the lady tells her, you need to know your name. She says, I'm Hippolyta. And she ends up going before she goes into that, she goes back to George, and they have a discussion how she tells George she's been making herself small for so long that she doesn't know who she is anymore. She kept making herself smaller for everybody, even him. And at one point he says, I always tried to push you to do what you want to do. But then he realized, yes, I still made you small for us to have a family. That was wrong of me. And then she goes into Dee's comic book, I believe, on another space planet. Amazing. Eventually, the space lady tells her, look, you can stay here with us and ascend to become a powerful being like one of us, or you can go back. And she's dwelling on that answer, and that's where we leave her. We don't find out if she decides to come back to Earth, or she stays there. But she lets us know, like, Hippolyta is so small on that Earth, and Hippolyta here is so vast. It's amazing. It's super sci-fi. A lot of people that want sci-fi, this is your episode. It's so good. It's really good. But then at the end of that, we find Tick coming back out of a portal. We don't know where he went. We do see him have a book that says Lovecraft Country. I'm very interested in what's going on with that. But he leaves the place where they found the time machine, dimensional machine, we're going to call it. But he leaves the cop bleeding on Dee's comic book with her name on it. So that's clearly going to come back. Foreshadowing of sadness. But yeah, super good episode. Really crazy. We got 3 more episodes left. Super exciting. So definitely, it's a great show. Really good show. Let me know what you guys felt. Hit me in the comments or hit me up at Black Geek Cool on Instagram and Twitter. And I'll see you guys on the next one.